Hi garden buddies. Soil Barn really misses you. The school gardens are missing you, and the big farm, we're missing seeing you there. But in this time when we can't be in these garden spaces together, I thought it'd be fun if we try a little experiment for you. So I'm going to show you how to do something that you might have the materials at home to do. This is a seed sprouting activity, and it helps you to learn a little bit about the seed parts and also how they sprout, and it'll be really fun. So really, there's basic supplies for this. All you're going to need is some kind of seed from home, which might be a bean, like a pinto bean or a black bean. You might have white dried beans, or maybe even a pea. Anything that you can find at home that resembles a seed, you could try sprouting in this experiment. So you'll need that. You'll need a nice simple jar that you can see in the sides. You could use a recycled jar of some kind of pasta sauce or some tomatoes or something like that. You're gonna need some water and a little bit of soil, not too much, and then a paper towel. So what I'm gonna show you is just how to start it, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about what we have over here. So first of all, you're gonna put this paper towel in your jar just like this so that it creates this little barrier. And then inside you're gonna put the soil, and you just want it to be enough to just go to the top. It will settle down as you add some water. That's pretty good. And then I'm gonna add just a little bit of water. I don't want it to be overly moist. The paper towel immediately will show the water coming through, and that's good. So you want it to be moist kind of all the way around, but no big puddles at the bottom. So I think just a little bit more might be good. Okay, and in this jar, I think what I'll try these pinto beans. But in another jar, if I made multiple ones to compare, then I would separate them out and use the black beans in one and then maybe the peas in another, so I can compare. So for this one, if you're gonna do it, you would take your pinto bean and you're gonna place 3 pinto or 4 pinto beans in here, and you want them to be placed in different directions. This is an important part. This little white part right here is an important part of the seed. Let's look at the seed diagram that we have. It's this cool little part right here that's called the radicle. It's where that little sprout and the roots are going to come out of the seed. And this part around the edge, this is called the seed coat. And we have to have water to take off that coat. So seeds kind of have to peel off their coat before they can sprout out. So that little part right there, the radicle, we're gonna wanna put it in all different directions in the jar so that we can see what happens when it sprouts and it's in different directions. Normally in the soil, we can't see that. So we're gonna take it and I'm gonna use a little knife just to pull the paper towel back a little bit. And I'm gonna place it in there. And for this one, I'll make sure, okay, well, it's sideways. That's pretty good. And then I'm gonna open up a little space here, and I'll tuck that one down in, and I'll try to get it a different direction. And that one wants to stay kind of flipping down the little white part. And then maybe I'll do one more and see if I can get that white part to sort of stay up towards the top. And it's a little tricky. You might have to mess with it a little bit. There we go. I feel like I need just a tad more water to make sure that paper towel is really moist. So now I've set up my experiment, and I might do this then again with another jar and a third jar to try the different seeds. So we'll take a look at these experiments that I did. I think this was the white beans. And if you look really closely, you'll see how things sort of developed in different directions and the roots. So let's look at this one. The bean was up here and the growth had to do a full loop. So I wonder if that piece, the radicle, was at the bottom or the top. And this one, look at that. It had a loop all the way around to come up to the top. And the roots almost had to come from the top and go down. I wonder how they know which direction to go. That's an interesting question. So the other really cool thing to observe on these is where the bean ends up. Look up here, these two leaves were actually originally the bean. And what's so cool about that is this part in the middle. Let's look at the seed diagram again. It's this big part, which is called the endosperm, which is like all the food for the plant until it gets food from another source. So these beans shriveling up, it's because the plant is actually taking that nutrition out of there and using it to grow up to the top. So it's also cool to examine the differences between these leaves and maybe the beans. Even though these are two different types of beans, the white and the brown, the leaves are very similar. But the pea, which started looking just like this, a shriveled little pea, has really different leaves. And let's take a look at what it looks like in here. So you can see that pea is actually shedding its seed coat, which peels off as the plant grows. Let's look at another one over here. Nice big roots developing, but a skinnier and smaller stalk, so it's very different. And if I had recorded a picture of each day as these all three developed, they all came up at different times as they grew. So what I've included as an attachment to this video is this cool diagram that you can use. First, you're going to just make sure that you know what you put into each jar. And then on each day, or whatever day you decide to check it, you can draw an image of the three seeds. Imagine that this is the jar kind of opened up so you could see all three seeds here. And you might draw sort of what they're doing each day so you can record. And in the end, you'll be able to decide which one grew the fastest or which direction it grew. And it'll be a really good chance to learn and watch just how seeds grow in the ground when we can never see them. So this is just one activity of many that we're going to have a chance to do together, and hopefully you have all the materials and you can report back even to maybe a teacher or a parent who's doing some education with you right now about the things that you're learning. But until then, we'll be taking good care of our gardens and the space at Soilborn and looking forward to the time when we can come back together in those spaces.